Hey guys, it's Joe from Joe Madden Sports. You're watching Hustle and Grind, and we have a great guest on today, Adam Trigger from Top Flight SI. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, Joe. Hanging in there. It's been a rough start to June, but we all go through those stretches, and looking forward to trying to battle out of it, like we always end up, doing. So
You
yeah,
always do. It's just a grind.
that's the grind part right there for sure. So
Absolutely. Well, I know we're excited to talk some Euro 2020 with you today. England and Scotland, one of the oldest rivalries out there. We're going to see them playing this afternoon. What are you liking in this matchup? England is a huge favorite.
yeah, so I mean, it should be a great match. You already mentioned it. It's a huge rivalry. The nations don't like each other at all, so it definitely will fuel this rivalry a bit. I rate I play on a 1 unit to 5 unit scale. The vast majority of my plays are 4 units because I like to stay as close to flat betting as possible. I'll go to 3 occasionally, and then I have the occasional 5 unit play. I will say this: the only reason I didn't make this a 5 unit play is because I've been a little bit cold right now, and I prefer to not go bigger when I'm trying to, as you say, grind or battle it out. But I absolutely love the over 2.5 in this match. And here's a little bit of the reasoning why. And if you want additional sort of reasoning, I did a whole write-up on this and posted it. It's up at my Twitter at Top Flight SI, and it's also on my Sports Memo page, so sportsmemo.com, and just search for Top Flight Sports in the drop-down. So rarely do you find like a contrarian over in in these soccer matches where you're getting over 2.5 at like minus 105 or even minus 110 with a team like England that can really score. And I think the reason we're seeing that is all week leading up to this match. If you follow the media at all, they're really making they're making a pretty big deal about a clean sheet run that England's on. So what that means, it's just a soccer term for a shutout. It means England hasn't conceded a goal in 6 of their last 7 matches. And, that is impressive.
Yeah.
And England is very good defensively. But I'll throw this out there. One of their top defenders, Harry Maguire, I haven't even looked to see if he's in the starting 11. He may come off the bench. He may not play at all. But he's definitely playing banged up. And their top choice goalkeeper just went home. So he's out for the rest of the tournament, which means Jordan Pickford is in goal, who's talented, but he's really hot and cold. He'll have a phenomenal game, or he'll make errors like that you just wouldn't expect the top choice keeper to make. A stat that I love, and so if you watch the Scotland match, if you watch the Scotland-Czech Republic match, Scotland was really unlucky not to score in that match. I mean, they created plenty of chances, and this sort of an underlying stat here that I found very interesting is of any player through the first round of games, that means any individual player on any of the 24 teams, the individual responsible for creating the most chances was Andrew Robertson from Scotland. So I thought that was a really cool stat because I don't think that you would think that would be the case. Scotland didn't score a goal. And I mean, you think of all the unbelievable players in this tournament on teams like France, like Portugal, Germany. You go back to the first round and you have teams like the Netherlands scored 3 goals. So the individual that created the most chances for their team of any of the 24 teams, Andrew Robertson from Scotland, he's a midfielder that plays for Liverpool, world-class player. So I just think Scotland's creating the chances. It's gonna come down to them putting the ball in the back of the net, which is easier said than done. But I think everyone just is assuming that England's going to just come out and blank Scotland. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Scotland has some creative players, and they definitely have the ability to score a goal. Now, if you think about it like this, if Scotland scores, England is minus 350 to win this match. So if you get a goal from Scotland at any point in the game, you pretty much have a minus 350, favorite. You would need England essentially to win to hit the over, and that's not even counting the possibility that Scotland scores again, which is, obviously not, I don't think many people think that England's going to concede twice, but it's certainly not impossible. Then you have then there's the fact, like, they're one of the best sides in this tournament. They're absolutely loaded. Just world-class attack. Harry Kane, Phil Foden. I believe it's going to be Mason Mount and Sterling that round it out. You have Jack Grealish off the bench. Tons of good attacking options on the England side. So there very well could be just England could go off and score 3 or 4 on their own here. And I don't think that would become as a huge surprise to anyone. I mean, the books are essentially telling you they think England's going to score twice because they have the spread in this match is -1.5, -110. So I just think there's a number of paths to victory here. Over 2.5 last I saw. Most books have it -105, -110. I really do think you're going to get a Scotland goal at some point. I think Scotland actually, I like the Scotland team. I played them the first round. They were very unlucky against the Czech Republic. I think that they could get something out of this match. So I think we see a Scotland goal. But even if we don't, England's got the firepower. This could easily be 3-0, 4-0. But 2-1 seems very reasonable as well. So I just think there's a far more ways this one gets to 3 goals than it doesn't. At -105 or -110, I really like the over 2.5 in Scotland, England today.
I absolutely love it. Are you putting any weight on the fan base in the stadium? I know Wembley Stadium, they're having under 23,000 fans in the seats, and only 3,000 of those will be Scottish fans.
So I just think, some of these crowds in the other stadiums, I'll use Amsterdam Arena. It's a different name now, but it's where the Dutch team plays. They had a similar capacity restriction, and it sounded like there was plenty of fans in the building, and the commentators even mentioned that a number of times. So I think just having, these guys have, and you're talking about, especially England specifically. They really didn't have fans at all. So, to just be back in front of any fans, there should be plenty of energy in the building. I know Wembley holds far more than that, but I still expect there to be a good energy inside Wembley today. And I think the players will feed off of it. I think you've seen it in some of these other matches. Netherlands, Ukraine comes to mind, where there was just really good energy the whole match, and I definitely think the fans injected some of that into the match. And yeah, I would be really surprised if England with the wealth of attacking options they have, and I'll mention this: England did come out a little bit flat against Croatia. They won 1-0. They did the job they had to do, but I do think there was a little bit of criticism for their sort of, some on their attack maybe not being as sort of lethal as they were expected to. I don't know. I think they got the 3 points. I think they'd be content with the 3 points here, but I do have this feeling that they want to kind of blast Scotland if they can.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will, and I'll throw this final thing in there. If Scotland goes down 2-0 here, there's big incentive for them to pull one back and get a goal, because 4 of these teams that finish in 3rd place in their group are going to advance to the knockout stage. When they increase the Euro from 16 to 24 teams, there's still only 6 groups. So what that means is you're going to have the top 2 in each group go. That's 12. You're still going to get four 3rd place teams going, and it's going to be decided on goal differential. So it's going to be big. There's going to be a big incentive if Scotland does trail in this match to go forward and get one, because it might mean that it might be the difference between them sneaking into one of those final knockout spots or going home. So I don't think you're going to see a scenario if England goes up 2-0 here. I don't think you're going to see Scotland sort of licking their wounds and becoming uninterested in the match. I think they're going to throw guys forward because they know if they can pull one back, and if England sort of, rests a little bit once they get up 2-0, if Scotland can pull one back, it might benefit. It might be the difference between them going home or not, as one of the 4 3rd place teams, if they, of course, can win their final game. So I expect chances the whole match. I think we're going to see Scotland be a lot better than people expect them to be. And England is probably one of the top 2 or 3 sides in this tournament. So I just think there's a lot of chances for goals. 2.5 seems, 3 goals in this match seems very doable to me.
Absolutely. Any scenario where you can see Scotland pulling out the underdog win today?
I'll tell you, it's if you were ever going to take a shot with like a plus 950 or whatever it is, I mean, it's definitely worth some pizza money. I think the last time these two teams played, I know they played 2 years ago. They played a World Cup qualifier. I think I want to say it was, and it ended 2-2. It was a great match. I will say, Scotland's not going to say. I think they would be okay with a point. Obviously, they'd be thrilled to play England to a draw, but I expect them to go for it. I think just from a pride standpoint, they like I said, they don't like each other. England's obviously big brother here in this in this type of battle. So yeah, I would not. And you know what? I don't know. Like none of this has anything to do with any other match, but this I feel like this Euro so far has really been void of like the big upset. Your big upset so far is probably Finland over Denmark, and that probably wouldn't have even happened if the events of that match didn't take place. Where there would obviously everyone sort of has heard at this point about Ericsson collapsing, and then they come back out and play the match. So that's really the only major upset so far. Okay. Maybe Slovakia over Poland, but Scotland to be winning this would be a major upset. And these tournaments always tend to have one or two of them. So who knows? It could be today. And I do think Scotland's a little bit better than they're getting credit for after their 2-0 defeat at the other day at the hands of Czech Republic. So yeah, Scotland's definitely a live underdog, and I think we're going to see some goals.
Awesome. Well, I love that over 2.5. I think that is a great bet in this game. Now, let's move on to talk some MLB. I know you want to talk a little bit about these totals in MLB. Is there any way that you're liking? Are you looking for the rest of the season liking more overs than unders? What are you thinking?
Well, Joe, I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty sure at this point. So baseball, I have had a rough start to the baseball season, and I'll absolutely be tweaking things, making changes. I think we all do that. Yeah. One thing I will point out, I've always been more of an under better in baseball, and I think I would say like it's sort of always been the sharper way to approach baseball. Generally, the totals are shaded to the over. There's usually a little bit more value on the under, but I'll be honest, I don't think I'll play an under in baseball the rest of the season. At least not until there's like such a big swing where the numbers on the unders are too good to pass up. And I'll tell you why. So I'm trying to figure out anytime there's like a drastic change, I think like a good handicapper tries to figure out how they can exploit that change. And coming up, the substances that are about to all get banned, I mean, that is a real thing. I mean, we've already seen some pitchers go on the DL. Glasnow complained about it. A lot of these pitchers, have come out and kind of said like, this is just kind of how it's always been. And I really think that no one's going to want to be the one that gets caught. So within a day or two here, I would imagine that some pitchers have already started to not use whatever they were using. But it's definitely, I don't think it's a coincidence that the batting average across the league has been up about 10 to 15 points since this all started to break like a week ago. So now you're going to see, like, even if guys did use it in their last start, they're probably not going to be able to use it going forward. But the way I'm going to look at it is this. So I think the sort of the thing that people are going to do is going to be like, okay, well, like, let me go against like a Walker Buehler now because like these guys are not going to be able to pitch. And I don't know it's not a terrible way to look at it, but I do think that the books are ready for this. Okay. So it's like, the odds makers are always a step ahead of the bettor. Like they just pretty much always are. And I actually think I'm going to target the sort of mediocre pitchers because you got to think if a really good pitcher, let's use a Tyler Glasnow, right, who we're used to just being out there mowing guys down. If he's going to regress to being like an above average pitcher without the substance, then some of these sort of average pitchers might just get blown up if they're that's the thing. Like, it's not just the really good guys that are using it. It's everyone. It's everyone at every level. So, I'm going to look for starting pitchers who I already think are average. And those are going to be the ones that I'm going to try to fade. if I can get the right number on the full game total, because the other thing about full game overs is there's no, I mean, with the extra innings rule as it is now, there's almost no incentive to bet a full game under at this point, because if the game goes to extras, it's only helping the over. And if just off of memory, it looks like it helps the over more than the odds makers probably bake into the line. I mean, a lot of these, they've seen countless games this year that go into extras tied 3-3, and the final's 7-5. I mean, it's just like, you know, one team will come and score 3 runs in the top of the 10th, the other team pulls one back, and all of a sudden you were sitting on 6 runs at the end of 9 innings, and now there's 11 or 12 in the game. It happens constantly. So between the fact that the averages are up across the league, you're going to have more pitchers that are going to have to let go of whatever they were using for fear of not wanting to be the guy that gets caught. And then the built-in advantage of a full game over against the extra inning rule. I mean, I'm going to look for spots where I think the numbers are reasonable and the books haven't shaded too much to the over. And I'll probably, be, at least in the short term, probably be coming over better for a little while if I can get the right number. Now, getting the right number on an over in baseball, that's going to be the tough part. And that's why you've got to be a little selective. I do see one tonight. I haven't decided if I'll play this yet, but I'm definitely considering it. It's Tigers Angels over 9. And so over 9's kind of is a big time key number for me, because if you can get to 4-4, you're free rolling basically. As long as you can get to 4-4 against an over 9, you can't lose. You're not going to lose the bet, because that game is not going to end until it's at least 5-4. So in this particular matchup, you've got Jose Arena, 5.16 ERA, very average. Yeah. Alex Cobb, probably a little bit better, but still 4.98 ERA. And when Alex Cobb is off, he tends to be like really off. So I just see a pretty average starting pitching matchup. I like both of these lineups. I've been saying all year the Tigers hit more than expected. I mean, their lineup's a little bit better than expected. They have been hitting. The Angels, I was way high on this Angels team coming into the year. They've had a bunch of injuries, but they're starting to get healthy and they're starting to put up runs. I would say, if you go back the last maybe 2 to 3 weeks, the Angels have been much better offensively. And before this crop of guys like the Trout, Upton went down for a while, Rendon went down for a while, Trout is still out. They were right up there in terms of offense across the league. They had one of the better offenses in the league.
Absolutely.
And then you get 2 bullpens that are just atrocious. I mean, that's really been the Angels' downfall most of this year, is the bullpen. The Tigers statistically have one of the worst bullpens in the league. And both of these bullpens they both got hit last night in this same matchup, which ended up being a 7-5 final. So I just think you've got Arena and Cobb. I can't see both of them pitching very well, because they're so average, and it's just hard to believe they would both be on the same night.
Yeah.
And then you're going to end up with 2 bullpens that are more than capable of just imploding. And you have 2 pretty good lineups, and this number is still, even though it's a little juiced up, I want to say it's minus 120, you're still at the key number of 9. It probably should be 9.5 or 10. So, it kind of fits. And this is one I may actually add it. I haven't decided yet, but if I was going to go on it with an over on tonight's board, which I'm going to be targeting them going forward, I think Angels Tigers over is a pretty good bet.
Well, I like it, and I definitely like your thought process of targeting these average pitchers with this, because you're right. You get an average pitcher, bring him down a couple levels, and the batters are going to light up that field. So I like it. I think it's a great way to look at things. I'll definitely be looking more at those overs now that you've drawn that to my attention. Adam, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can everyone follow you to get your bets?
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is right below me on the screen here. It's at TopFlightSI. I'm also on Sports Memo. That's sportsmemo.com, and if you can find Top Flight Sports right in the drop down. Everything I've got today, I'm going to post for free. I tend to do that when I'm a little cold. I just feel I don't like selling a play when I'm cold. So I try to reserve the free days for times like this. But I will say this, and this is just I harp on this, and I want to educate the people out there because I know we have a lot of new people in the space. I say this: if you're buying picks or you're gonna jump in on tailing a capper that's proven, you should always try to jump in when they're cold. I see this all the time, and I see it with my own things. My sales are always the best after I've had like 5 or 6 winners in a row, and I appreciate it because I sell picks for a living. But I mean, think about it, Joe. How many 10-game winning streaks do you have over the course of a year? Right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Right? You don't. It's a grind. It's you can't win every day.
Yeah. So I always say this: whether it's me, whether it's Joe, whether it's anyone else at Sports Memo, the absolute sort of plus EV way, if you will, to approach pick buying, find someone that's proven, that's won historically and is documented winning, and jump on when they're cold. Because chances are you're going to catch the run as opposed to hopping on after 5 or 6 winners and catching the inevitable regression. So I always say this. I like to point it out personally when I've been a little bit cold, but it is absolutely the way you should go about. If you're going to buy picks, I mean, every time you purchase a pick, it cuts into your bottom line. Yeah. You might as well do it in a fashion that maximizes your chance of profiting. So that's just my little PSA, pro tip to pick buying. And yeah, like I said, everything I've got today, I'm going to post for free. I've got my full write-up of England, Scotland, which kicks off here in a few minutes, over 2.5. That's a 4-unit play that I would normally sell that I gave out for free today. And anything else that I have for Friday, you can find for free at Top Play SI or at Sports Memo.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck. Enjoy these Euro 2020 games, and we'll talk soon. I hope to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, Joe. I appreciate it.